Alrighty, it's that time again. The most wonderful time of the season. We're going to finish off content week with two more olds reviews. We're going to split the Tealspring in half. And we got some real oldos here. We've got some from way back when and some relative newcomers. But I, of course, Dr. James Dalton Bell, double doctorate, leaning into it. Who else we got? Oh, I'm drinking wine tonight, by the way.
Oh,
I have a pint
nice.
of wine.
That just shows your class, your level of sophistication. I'm obviously the oldest one in this call. I'm Sukaba, and tonight I'm drinking a protein shake because I have work in the morning. There it is.
I'm Bull, and tonight I'm having an Urban Artifact strawberry banana sour. Not sure how that's a sour, but I don't taste any banana.
Yeah, hello there, boys and girls. It's your best friend Jason, as always, and I'm drinking straight candle tonight, so gonna have some fun.
Whoa. All right.
That's really gross. So I've already started off the tier
It's
list.
not lit yet.
Put myself into S tier. But we'll see if I stay there or not. We are going to just fire it off. We got 8 teams to get through, and then 8 more teams to get through. So we'll go ahead and get it started off. We've got Braff, Libertyville Lux Rays. Sooner or later, he'll be old enough to be in the olds. He'll be able to get on one of these. But
Like 20 years.
he's still got a few years for that, definitely. But overall, I like this team, but it feels kind of strange to me. When I look at it, it kind of feels like a team that would get assembled in a Daddy Plan Part 2, where like a lot of the good version of stuff is gone. And so it's like a lot of the second best stuff, and somehow an Ogerpon didn't get drafted. So there's... And it also it's kind of weird because there's a lot of single types, which tends to make things look more weird. The prankster Illumise with Reggie Drago is going to be definitely scary. Tailwind, Drago Specs, Dragon's Maw kills things. Is there much good setup to take advantage of the beefy Ogerpon Follow Me? Maybe some Magnezone Nasty Plot or something like that.
No, it
Reggie
doesn't get
Drago
it.
Focus
Oh,
Energy.
it doesn't get it actually? There you go. Focus Energy.
Magnezone doesn't get nasty plot.
Yeah, Crit Drago, something like that might be fun. But this is an incredibly, specially defensively frail team.
But you got the Ogerpon with the +1 when he terrestrializes. Nope, never mind. That's the water one.
Like even without Magikarp, which was dragging it down a bit, I think everybody else it's reasonable to keep on there.
I don't know about Fuecoco.
I
He's cute, but
I guess it's Fuecoco and not the middle one. Never mind, we'll get rid of Fuecoco.
Crocolore's great. Yeah.
Yeah, Crocolore is what I was thinking. Is in my brain. I was like, couldn't possibly be Fuecoco. So like it's a little better without those two, but still, like, it's a pretty not bulky, especially defensive team. And so I think it's gonna have to either just play offense so it doesn't care, or which I mean it can with like Drago and Iron Moth both being very scary. If you can get the Trick Room up, then Avalugg is very scary. Pure Power Metacham, or Huge Power, Pure Power. They're the same. It's definitely got stuff it can do, but I think maybe there's a weakness to be targeted here in this special defense that I think has the potential to be a problem. What does everybody else think?
Yeah, I think what Braff is saying with his team is basically like, I'm not super worried about playing defensively. He doesn't have great switch-ins. Like, we see his type chart here is pretty mediocre. No dark resist, no ghost resist. Overall weak to flying, overall weak to rock. Playing a game like that is really not what this team is meant to do. I think uh, when we're talking about this team's ability to win games, though, um, phenomenal speed control and phenomenal offense, in my opinion. And I think the offense all kind of worked together well. Um, you have Ogrepon, Regidrago, Iron Moth, Magnezone, Medicham, I think are the main offensive pieces on this team, and
I would
all of
agree.
them are really, really hard to deal with Illumise for Tailwind and Medicham for like the imprisoned Trick Room thing. Obviously, definitely like some holes here, but just answering all these offensive threats, I think is really tough.
Definitely. Um, any other thoughts on this one? I mean, it seems like a pretty fun offensive team that's gonna have to hit hard or get hit.
Yeah, I mean, the special attacking threats are really scary. Like the Magnezone, the Iron Moth, and the Regidrago are all like really powerful special attackers. Um, Having the Ogrepon is kind of like, just looking at it, it's kind of like the main physical attacking threat. I guess the Metacam number is a little deceiving because of pure power, right?
Yeah,
But
totally.
it's definitely threatening with like close combat and stuff. And I don't really think that's an issue for this team. I like that the Illumise is going to be big here, obviously. I could see it coming like every week for this team. I feel like it's kind of fundamental to what he's going for. Like every Mon here needs speed, maybe outside like the Iron Moth and the Ogrepon. But like all these other Mons, the rest of the team kind of require speed control to do what they want to do. So where I think Breebraff is banking on the Illumise being as good as it looks on paper. And I personally think it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, and he's going to be using like fake tears from that Pokemon with the Drago and the Moth. Um, I think a lot of these Pokemon are going to benefit from Illumise's speed control, and they're going to take advantage of those few Tailwind turns that it's alive.
Right. I think the only thing to really knock on the team is it really is going to, if you can shut down Illumise, I mean, it kind of will struggle a little bit. It wants to go fast, it wants to go quick. I mean, if you can get Trick Room up, yeah, he's got Magnezone, yeah, he's got Avalugg, but it's not a team that wants to have Trick Room thrown up in front of it or anything like that. So, I mean, overall, I mean, it's a solid team for Braff. I mean, it has explosive power. It's going to be a hard team to prep for every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Let's
Sounds-
let's put it on the list. We think it's better than mine. We haven't looked at mine yet. I think it's a pretty good team. I think it's like a high B, low A team. In all
Yeah.
honesty,
Yeah.
I'm starting generous with the
Putting in an A for me for now.
Mhm.
yeah, fair enough. I
That's pretty
tend
good.
to gravitate towards the middle, but alrighty. Next up, oh,
up right into the snow team.
right into the snow team. Tell us about your
All
winter
right.
wonderland.
Yeah, so I mean, when I sat down with Rich, and I know he's not in this season, we were trying to figure out kind of where to go with the team. We played around with some rain. We played around with some of the ogre ponds, and we're like, Baxcalibur seems actually pretty solid. Scale shot's a nice move to kind of add on to them. And they were like, well, what if we try to like build a snow team just for the hell of it at this point? So, I mean, a lot of it honestly was put around getting Ninetales, and unfortunately, Ninetales got sniped same round I did. I think I went for. Oh no, he went the round before I wanted to get him. Actually, I thought I could kind of hold off on him, and I shouldn't have. But yeah, overall, I love the direction I went with the team. Snow getting buffed this gen to give the defense boost is nice. It's definitely going to be a bulkier team than it looks like on paper, and it's already pretty bulky itself. Um, I'm excited. I can throw up Auroravilles. I can get some weather up. I have Chi Yu Light with Charge Bug, and not exactly the same, but it's there. I made a little swap out for Slow King partway through. Just it fits the team a little better, I think. And Fizzendipity, I just wanted something that could put up some tailwind, but also something new to try out here. The idea of being able to just poison stuff on any move you use is great. I love that it has a lot of spread move and utility. And of course, with a team that's primarily weak to fighting, I needed something that I can switch into a fighting type move if needed, and it can tank some fighting type moves pretty well there. Diplin's awesome. I love Diplin paired up with Bundle. It removes a lot of Bundle's issue with Hydro Pump there, and it kind of forces you're either going to take a hydro pump or you're going to switch something out. So I think that puts a little bit of pressure there. Really rounding out the bottom, I kind of just plugged a couple mons in, had 2 and a 1-pointer left, and kind of threw something together. And I mean, Wish Cash, is it going to come? Probably not. Could it come? Sure, maybe. Its stats are pretty abysmal,
Yeah, totally.
but yeah, overall, I'm just wanting to have some fun. Short season, try to get something more along the lines of what I like running with, which is a bulkier team that could put out some damage.
Yeah, I think Whiscash definitely has a place on this team. I mean, with 5 ice types, 2 of which learn freeze dry for just extra reliability, nobody's bringing grass types into your team, so it's just going to be coverage moves. And even then, like, are they bringing a coverage move for Whiscash? Probably not. So, like, you know, it comes twice, or, you know, one game and is very impactful in one game or something like that. I think Whiscash definitely has a spot here. I am a little skeptical of 5 ice types, but you're not going to bring all 5 like, you're not going to bring all 5 every week, and you have Terra as an option, and
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, unless you are going to bring all 5 every week, in which case
Maybe
you'll go 2 or 3.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, this feels like a hard snow team.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like a lot of the snow teams, or the weather teams we've seen in the past couple seasons have been like, okay, yeah, like, there's a really strong, like, snow mode, or there's a really strong sun mode, but, like, there's also this random mode, and I can run a trick room mode. Like, this, there's definitely other stuff here, don't get me wrong, but, like, this feels fundamentally like a very snow-reliant team with 5 ice types. And that can be a little dicey, because, like, all it takes is, like, a prankster sunny day to maybe, like, put a wrench in your plan. So I think you're going to have to play around that really carefully. Maybe saving the snow in the back to kind of read out and, like, get it into a good position is going to be important a lot of weeks, because I think everyone prepping versus team is going to either bring some sort of weather, or they're going to bring their Scarf special attacking fire type to click Heat Wave and kill everything. Like, there's going to be... I think that's the strategy people are going to focus with. So your success is going to come down to how can you creatively build around that and surprise people with other things.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how successful a Scarf fire type would be with booster Iron Bundle, just deleting every fire type.
Yeah,
that's true.
Hydro Pump.
Except for 20% of the time.
Exactly. Except for Diplin time.
Yeah. I do like this Trick Room little thing you've got going on here, too. Like, Slow King is an awesome Trick Room setter for a snow-focused team. I mean, also it's just a great Trick Room setter. But for a snow-focused team where you also have that, what is it, chili something or other? Chili reception. Yeah, so, like, you run that and Trick Room on them, and, like, click Sunny Day. Go for it. I'm going to set Trick Room, or I'm going to switch out and reset the Hail, and good luck.
Yeah,
I think this is
enough. It's pretty tough to, like, set up something in front of it, because I've taken a turn to set Sunny Day. Well, now Baxcalibur's at +2. Now I'm dead, or Pheasantipity has given me a speed drop and poisoned both of my Pokemon.
Does Diplin get any good, like, damage over time moves?
It's Infestation.
It gets Infestation?
And Leech Seed, I think?
No, unfortunately, no.
That would be... It should. That's crazy that it doesn't. I think...
It gets Infestation, yeah.
With a snow team like this...
Yeah, just that. But, I mean, that's not nothing.
When you take all these ice types, I think there's some things that you kind of have to decide. Do I want to have defensive potential at all on this team? Like, obviously, the snow defense boost. Or do I want to just say, screw it, my Pokemon are offensive in their nature. I'm going to take offensive Pokemon and do a lot of damage. And I think this team has positioned itself in an interesting place where it's kind of doing both. Ice is resisted by, like, water and steel and fire types, and this team really doesn't have a lot to deal with those Pokemon. Like, Iron Bundle for sure deals with the fire types, but there's not a lot of Pokemon here who really hit, like, steel types for super effective damage. So you're going to be hitting them with a bundle, you're going to be hitting them with, like, a Terra type, a Baxcalibur kind of thing. And so, okay, how's the defense looking then? Are we able to shore it up? And the question is also, like, a little bit. I think one thing you did incredibly well here, Bohm, is, like, every Pokemon on this team gets a +1 defense boost. Okay, I hit you on the special side. Boom. Pheasantipity, Articuno, and Slowking all have extremely high Spadef. So just like numbers wise, really hard to touch. Although we can see typing wise here, no resistance to Ghost, a lot of rock weaknesses, and the 2 resistances are kind of frail. So this team may not get heat waved, but a coverage rock slide may be a big threat as well. I think it's like hitting some of the things you want from a snow team on both sides, some offensive, some defensive, and not fully committing to like fully balanced or fully offense. And I'm curious to see if that's like perfect for draft league and that you're flexible and can play either way, or if that means the team is just gonna like lose by having overly redundant stab or lose by not having enough defensive synergy.
Right.
I'm very excited to face it week 1.
Yeah, I'm not so excited to face you week 1.
A lot of 4s. That's true. You guys are playing week 1 too. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So.
I think
all
this
right,
is gonna.
let's put it on the
Yeah,
list.
I'm gonna put this in the B tier for now. I really do like what you got going on here. I'm
Yeah.
just a little questionable about some of the weaknesses, but I think this can be a great
Yeah.
team for sure. I quite like it.
Yeah, I never thought I would be so up on a team with 5 ice types.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's a
Whether-
brave new world we're living in.
Whether the result's good, that's probably one of the better teams you'll see with 5 ice types. It's not going to go well, I don't feel like, but it'll be fun.
It looks
This is
really fun for sure.
It looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I've always wanted to try snow.
I'm too afraid. All right,
Oh,
who's next? Daddy. F tier. What's the lowest tier we have? Make a
We
new
can
one?
create more
No.
tiers. Just to
Yeah,
go
yeah, we can
lower,
make
right?
more. Yeah. So, Jace, what do you think? H tier, J
Get rid
tier.
of this Poliwag. Let's do W tier for Whoopers,
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Hey, yeah, there you go. All the way at the
Uh,
bottom.
and not for winning. No, I think on a real note, I removed Mr. Poliwag. He's got 90 speed hypnosis. That's something, but I don't think it's coming a lot. So we're mainly looking at the other guys. Daddy here has drafted a team that, in my opinion, is a throwback to his BDSP team. I think he was quite successful with that one, with the kind of like big support Pokemon and then a bunch of mid-tier attackers. And he's done that again, but differently, because the big support Pokemon is kind of Clefable and Volbeat, neither of them being like a big Cresselia level threat. But he's got great diversity in the rest of the low tier picks that I think go together well. There's like a really strong budget fire, water, grass situation going on here. The steel type not so much, but you got the couple dark types and a psychic type. I think this team fits, like, checks a lot of different boxes and stuff that it can do. It has reasonable offense, I think very solid defensive capabilities, a lot of disruption, and the devil comes down to like the finer details. I think this team would have benefited from having a fighting type to hit the dark types a little bit better. That seemed to be potentially an issue for Crocodile, Weavile, Slowbro, really only having Clefable to hit them. I think there's like a few other tiny little holes, but overall, the team does great defensively, and offensively, it's gonna depend on how much damage Slowbro, Croak, Trev, Weavile, Rotom, and Moltres can do. And they all can, but none of them are kind of top tier offensively, so it's about using them together.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say about this team is like it's missing that headliner, reliable, consistent. This mon is always gonna do a lot of damage no matter what. Like you hit the nail where you said like a lot of these mons can do a lot of damage. Like obviously Krook, Moltres, Rotom, Weavile, Trevenant, they can all do a lot of damage, but it's gonna take some creativity to enable them to do that. Maybe you need to run a choice specs on one of them, or you're doing an offensive Terra type and Oko and getting that Oko you need. Like this team's gonna maybe struggle to get those calcs that they want without like finding a creative way to enable them. But at the same time, when it comes to enabling threats, you have really good options. The Volbeat with the priority tailwind, the Clefable with the follow me support. Yeah, and then the Slowbro to be disruptive, yawn, set trick room, whatever it wants to do. Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail. I just wanted to add that to your comment.
Yeah, I like this team. Well done, Daddy. The Clefable, I mean, Clefable is not just 95 either. Like, don't forget, Magic Guard, you just get a free 30% on a Life Orb for, like, I mean,
Right.
that's all you need, right? And then the Moonblasts, I mean, it has Moonblast, and Moonblast is a broken move. So, like, that's, one more to add to the list of relevant things. I went from I don't get Hisuian Sliggoo last season to I think it could be like a role player. It's got great typing, and it's, got infinite defensive stats. The 58's kind of a bummer HP, but I like it. We do have a cheap explosion, maybe. I doubt that'll actually happen, but
From Graveler?
yeah, totally.
I think
Off
Graveler
of,
might be a better Pokemon than Sliggoo here in terms of discussion. Having drafted Graveler, I have brought it multiple times in a season where it was a 1-point Pokemon for Wide Guard, for Explosion. I ran Sturdy Weakness Policy with Rock Slide off of base 95 attack and those great stabs. It's definitely usable as a Pokemon. Sliggoo,
Yeah,
on the
totally.
other hand, I find to be very suspect. It has unbelievable stats, like truly top 15
Like,
Pokemon in the game
crazy.
stats. This Pokemon is defined by having a nasty move pool. And by nasty, I mean empty. Life Dew is good. You can do Curse Ironhead, maybe. But it just... There are so few tools in this Pokemon's toolkit to ever take advantage of the defense. I think Daddy is creative enough to make it work, but I also think Sliggoo is a major trap. And on this team, I'm not seeing how you make Sliggoo sing. But it's also 5 points, so if it comes a couple times and does cool things, then you got your value.
Really wishes it had body press.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
Yeah,
Body press would
definitely.
fix so many issues with him.
Or Toxic, or something.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It should have Toxic. It should have a couple good poison moves.
It has
Just
Acid
because-
Spray, which is really cool.
That's. But I mean,
I
I
don't even-
guess. I mean,
it
I
does
guess it
acid
kind of
spray.
does, right? It has Sludge Bomb. It has Acid Spray.
Gets acid armor.
Draco Meteor.
Acid-
It,
yeah,
it
sure.
can do things, but it doesn't really fit together. I don't want to spend too
Yeah.
much time focused
Fair
on
enough.
Sliggoo, though. I wanted
Yeah.
to drop one more thought, which is that this team reminds me of the teams that Braff and I drafted last season, and that Camo drafted this season, with the 15 and under, with the one exception being your 18-pointer Clefable. Those teams really struggled to deal with big top-tier threats.
That he
They
overpaid
presented a
one
lot of
for.
problems. Sorry, James?
I said that he overpaid one for. He outbid me on this Clefable in round 2.
I see. Yeah, I think it might have been an overpay. It's a good Pokemon, but I
I
think
certainly
a
wasn't
big
gonna do it.
Follow Me guy may not be the thing that this team needs to play with the big boys. I would be interested in seeing, what if this Clefable was an Ogerpon and this Sliggoo was a 1-pointer? Is the team a lot better in that situation?
Quite
That's
possible.
interesting.
Is this the way to do a wide team? Yeah.
Who have we not given enough respect to on this team? I don't know. Crocodile's good now. I like Moltres. Galarian Slowbro is fine to good, I think.
Hey, all I'm saying is somebody's
like-
getting tail glowed. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's
Yeah.
never going to happen. That is
Yeah,
that is a dream
it's
you need
gonna
to let
happen.
die in content.
No, it's gonna happen,
It's
and
gonna.
I'm gonna be there in the chat, adding you directly when it happens, James. Calling you out.
It's just not. It's just a dream that.
Hey,
is
he's got
never
follow
gonna go
me.
anywhere.
Follow me, tail glow, boost up the Moltres, boom, bada bing, bang.
I don't
You have
buy
to
it.
believe.
You gotta
I
believe.
don't have to believe, and I don't believe. But I think this is a good team anyway, in
Yeah,
spite of that dream.
I'm gonna put this at the top of B tier for me right
Yeah.
now.
I like it better than Bohm's
I like
team. Do I like
Bohm's
it
team
better
a
than
little bit more.
Braff's team? Yeah, I think I do like it more than Braff's team.
Wow. James, I think you might be drinking the James juice here, because this is a very classically James style team.
You're right, it is.
Very classically James
Yeah.
style pop.
That's tough.
Yeah, you're
Right.
right. A bunch of Pokemon that can sit there and do nothing.
All
Um,
right.
all right, Daddy proved me right. Proved James wrong. Pokemon that can sit and do nothing are good. Speaking of Pokemon that don't sit and do nothing, this is a team of Pokemon that do stuff. Mouse Ape, scary, super reliable, super scary to prep against. Illusion, I mean, I would say Zoroark, but really it's just the fact that Illusion is there in prep means that anytime Zoroark comes to team preview, this lead becomes even more confusing and scary. It's less bad than if this was Hisuian Zoroark, just because the typing would be so much better as a support for these two. But also it's a lot more expensive, so I understand why that didn't happen.
7 is a steal for Zoroark.
Yeah, there's a lot of other fun, good pairs, right? Pelipper Barraskewda is a fun little two-mon rain mode. Also, Barraskewda is just super fast and probably never needs the Swift Swim. It'll let it outspeed Paradox Mons, but other than that, you're mostly not going to actually need the Swift Swim. But, I mean, it's good anyway, and Pelipper's a strong support Mon. It's going to help out Brute Bonnet to take less damage. Although, maybe the Brute Bonnet wants to be in the sun, because it often wants to be holding some item other than a booster energy for its... but it might still want a photosynthesis boost, so maybe it would rather be in the sun. Camera Up Doxbund is fun. If it's a fighting weak team or a fire weak team, that's a great combo to bring. Wigglytuff is doo-doo trash. Tinkatuff has Fake Out. Gothita has better Fake Out and Frisk, and does more stuff. And our pricing respects that. And Wigglytuff is doo-doo trash. Anybody else have thoughts?
I think this team reminds me of VGC this generation so much because it is what is called a 2-2-2 team.
Sure, totally.
Mouse Ape is a 2 Pokemon combo. Pelipper Barraskewda, 2 Pokemon
two.
combo. Doxman Camera, 2 Pokemon combo. And if you think about it, actually, Wigglytuff and Gothita are also a 2 Pokemon combo with Perish Song and Shadow Tag. This team then has Brute Bonnet, Tinkatuff, and Zoroark, who ideally kind of fit in the other pieces to make it gel. And I don't think they do. Zoroark does gel with the Mouse Ape stuff for sure. I don't know how well that fits with Pelipper and Barraskewda, who either announce their abilities or benefit from being fast, and Zoroark is already fast. I guess it can work with the Doxbund Camera Up stuff, but those guys aren't really strong enough to be putting out a lot. And then Brute Bonnet also announces its ability with the booster energy. So it's interesting the way this team worked, having all of these Pokemon together. I don't really see the synergy between the cores, but having to prep for all these different cores is a really interesting challenge, and also an interesting way to play the game, to say, okay, I'm bringing these two guys, and then what am I going to do in the back when that's out of position? I don't know. Am I going to bring Barraskewda without Pelipper? Not really. Am I going to bring Pelipper without any other rain beneficiaries? Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it also sets Tailwind
And Wide Guard and
then Wide Guard.
Yeah, I mean, Pelipper's a Pokemon on its own.
Yeah, but I overall I agree with you. Right, it's lots of, if you're not bringing one, you don't want to bring the other.
Right. I mean, a lot of things that worry me with this team. It's like we said before, they're in kind of pairs, and what I've learned from, the numerous seasons of Draft League is when you start getting those pairs up and they don't kind of synergize with the other pair, it creates kind of a mess with your team a little bit. And I'm not saying that this team can't be successful. It just, if you're not, what is Pelipper doing besides enabling Barraskewda? Maybe Tailwind, but it's not a fast Tailwind. Same with Camera Up and Doxbund. If they're together, you generally want that Lava Plume to go off before Doxbund attacks, because you want that body press boost beforehand. Whereas it's not going to be beneficial unless you're under Trick Room, and then you're doing a bunch of switching to get those two next to each other. I guess I'm just trying hard to see kind of what 6 are you going to bring each week that's going to be successful for you?
Yeah, you actually just stole my point about the Dachshund camera up. I'm not necessarily a believer in that pairing, just because I feel like you want to set Trick Room up ideally to get the camera up into position to get a Lava Plume off, But the only Trick Room setter on this team is Gothita, and
Right.
I think that's an issue here. Like, listen, I know Gothita is good value, but I think that being your only Trick Room setter sets you up in a little bit of a pickle, especially when you have strategies that are relying on it. Like, I know the Brute Bonnet can operate outside of Trick Room as well, but like when I see the camera up the Dutch Boon, the Brute Bonnet, like those are mons that kind of want Trick Room up, and if you're gonna commit to that mode, I feel like I would have liked to see a better setter. I don't know. Like I do agree with you though about like the synergies being a little separate. Like they're not exactly cohesive.
Yeah, it could be maybe that there's just some points in the wrong place, right? Like you've got a lot of points in this Pelipper that a lot of your team is not really taking advantage of. Like maybe you turn this Pelipper into a cheaper Tailwind mon and upgrade your Gothita into a stronger Trick Room setter. And then you go into that a little more, and then you've got your Mousehold Annihilate stuff, and then a bunch of solid Trick Room stuff. Maybe that's something that this team could do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Mousehold Annihilate itself will do a lot of work for this team. I think that's a threat in itself, and I think people have got to respect that week in, week out. And Zoroark, again, in the mix is, I mean, great, especially if you're trying to trip people up a little bit. But those 3 are definitely the best mods, and I think you're hard-pressed not to bring those 3 every week.
I do feel like we are ignoring the Brute Bonnet a little bit as like a key component of this team.
It's good.
Like I'm just wondering.
I like it.
It's good, right? But I'm wondering, like,
think
Brute Bonnet is a prep alter, and it's going to encourage Terra Grass. Like, does this team punish that enough? Like, you get the Pelipper with the Hurricanes. I guess the Annihilate Mousehold doesn't really care. I don't know. Like, it's just interesting to think about Bonnet's place on this team. I feel like it may be more of a heavy hitter than we're giving it credit for.
Yeah, I actually found my success with Brute Bonnet came more when the Spore and to an even lesser extent Rage Powder was the mix-up rather than the reason to have it on the team. I think Brute Bonnet is an attacking Pokemon. Yeah. More than anything else. Like, it's got a great Sucker Punch. If you can get it in the sun or with a booster energy, it kills anything that doesn't... Like, it gets, like, mean strong. And, having the Spore as a backup, oh no, they're going to set Trick Room and I can't kill the Trick Room setter, quick put it to sleep. Something like that as a secondary option, sort of back pocket thing, I think will be a stronger way to take advantage of Brute Bonnet. But I agree, we probably didn't spend enough time talking about it just because it's the far end where the bad Pokemon usually are, but this time the bad Pokemon is here.
Right.
I love how you pronounce the Pokemon Doxpin Sukaba.
Oh, is that all right?
Deshpin?
Well, I think you were saying, like, never mind.
Yeah.
Everyone in the video knows what I'm talking about.
Dachshund? What did I
It's
say?
beautiful. You said, like, Duxkaban or something? We gotta move on.
We gotta move. Yeah.
It made me very happy.
Yeah, let's put the Bluffton Bear Ticks onto the tier list. I like it more than Bohm's team.
I think the fundamentals are strong enough that it's not like a bad team.
No.
It just kind of falters in terms of like the later details. For me, it's like top of C, bottom of B.
Yeah. I think I like Bohm's team better also. Yep. All right. I'm not doing everybody in B on purpose, but so far I'm not super looking to move Daddy up or move Dan down. So.
Yeah, once we get into it a little more, it'll kind of start making more sense.
Alrighty. Shogun beat.
Oh boy. Okay. I think this was another one of mine that I was going to talk about. Is it beat? Is it bite?
Bite? I don't know. I don't speak Danish.
Bite, I think
It's a Danish pun, apparently.
Incredible. So, Urshifu, Fluttermane, Ninetales, Sandy, Shocks, Vivian. Veluza. Pass. And nothing else is on this team. Um, so this is the most top-heavy team in the league with 4 Pokemon worth 1 or 2 points. Uh, is the Arctibax coming to games? Like, it's gonna have to because you're gonna want to get some mix-ups going on here. But I think we need to evaluate this team basically as like a ladder team with the first 5 and then one of Veluza or Probopass in the last slot. Veluza and Probopass, I think, are both cool Pokemon in their own right that do setup things, and the other Pokemon here don't really want to do setup things, and so it's a good like final core. I don't mind either of those picks. It's the first 5 that I think demand the most attention because they're coming to every game. Urshifu, Fluttermane, Ninetales, Sandy, Shocks, and Vivian. How do those guys work together? And I think the answer is a resounding meh, personally. Urshifu notably really doesn't like dealing with fairy type Pokemon. So the number one thing you want on an Urshifu draft, in addition to speed control, which Vivian is providing an 89 base speed tailwind if it doesn't get faked out. Well, Shield Dust, okay, it can't get faked out, so that's reasonable.
But it can get double targeted.
It could get double targeted, yeah. While also needing to do basically every support function on this team. And then in terms of getting rid of fairies, you want a steel type and a poison type. And this team has the steel type as Probopass, who is actually a Terra fighting Pokemon with Body Press, and no poison type to be found. Urshifu also kind of struggles to deal with like lying type Pokemon, give it some trouble because they resist the fighting type move. What else would it be? Like fighting type Pokemon who resist the dark type move. Okay, it's supported okay on those. Doesn't like poison types that resist close combat. That can like Terra Fairy. Doesn't do a lot into those. Maybe Sandy Shocks. So Urshifu synergy, not loving it. Obviously, Ninetales, Fluttermane, Sandy Shocks, they get the support there from the sun, which is great to have photosynthesis. Is this team getting the most out of 27-point Fluttermane? I definitely don't think so. Not a lot of ability this team has to slow down physical attackers. No like quick guard on this team to prevent priority going into Fluttermane. And then how much do we believe in Ninetales? Is the fire type here good? It's supporting deleting steel types for Fluttermane, but Urshifu kind of already does that. And then are you attacking with Ninetales? Maybe with its 81 special attack. Not really, so then it's doing mainly support things. But if you have Urshifu, Fluttermane, Ninetales, Sandy Shocks, Vivian, do you really want 2 of your 5 Pokemon to be supportive? Basically what I'm trying to say is I think this team is going to be relying on Urshifu and Fluttermane to be doing basically everything on the team. I respect Sandy Shocks, Ninetales, and Vivian as Pokemon, but they just don't synergize with those extremely expensive top 2 enough to make this team make sense to me.
Yeah, I think this team is really missing like premier Tailwind, or even just like more reliable Tailwind than Pavilion. Just because, like you said, the Urshifu, if you're, the 2 things you want on an Urshifu team, you want the speed control and you want those, other mons that support its weaknesses. And I definitely agree that the Fluttermane is not worth 27 points on this team. Like, I feel like a lot of times, like, you're going to want Fluttermane to be running Icy Wind too, because you don't have that top tier Tailwind setter, and like, how are you preventing Urshifu from just getting O-code by a random Terra Fairy unless you're committing Terra to that? Like, it does get messy, which I think was your sentiment. I do think the Ninetales, Shocks, and Fluttermane though is gonna be very scary, because when you can activate the photosynthesis while also giving them other items, and I think those 2 synergize more with like a Ninetales tempo sort of team than a Torkoal, which is what's been available in the past as far as drought Pokemon. So that's going to be an issue. Like, I could see a lot of people focusing on that to bring like opposing weather, maybe Prankster Rain Dance, stuff like that, to sort of, negate those photosynthesis boosts. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the damage dealers on this team are going to be the Shocks, the Fluttermane, and the Single. And in certain matchups, that may be difficult for them to carry all that weight.
Yeah, I would say overall, go for it, Bo.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I like the draft, and I'm kind of basing this more off, and it's not the same team, but like Rich had a really good draft, and it was a very narrow team at the front, and we put him pretty down low in the Olds review. I don't think it's the same kind, like the same exact success this team will have, but I think it has the ability to kind of surprise people. I think with drought going up, like Sakaba said, we can easily put some other items on. Fluttermane can do a little bit more damage. You might be able to run Ninetales next to him with maybe even Specs or probably Life Orb and just kind of really chunk out some damage. Everybody's going to be trying to bring some kind of weather, just like against my team, because you know that they want that photosynthesis going up. Urshifu, I mean, Urshifu can throw up sucker punches. It doesn't really need the speed per se. If Flutter's putting up some icy winds here and there, but again, I mean, what comes up to back up those front four? Pavilion, I mean, is it going to be great under Sun? That's a question that kind of remains to be seen, and who comes to support him, because Veluza and Probopass, I don't see as very strong mons. I mean, they have their worth, but again, you have a water type as your fifth mon, and you're trying to set up Sun most of the time, so you're already taking away from one of its stab moves. So there's some good things I see, but at the same time, I like the front four. I just don't see how the back seven really support the front four.
That was a brutal deletion.
I just wanted to see what the team looks like without this. What does this team with these top five do? And I guess you got two Pokemon that are mainly functioning as support in a team of totaling five. I think it's really hard to make that work.
Yeah, it's tough.
So there's a little bit of stuff that I would say is like kind of low impact, but hasn't been mentioned. Sandy Shocks has very fast gravity, so you can put everything to sleep with Ninetales. That's a scary thing that's worth people's thought, I think. I know Electric was joking a little bit when we were recording an A to Z about the real win condition being Moody Snorunt. I don't know if I'm a believer. In fact, I know I'm not, but I mean, Moody is such a nonsense ability that it's almost worth. It has to be thought about even a little bit at just one point. Sheer Force Timber seems like it could probably do something, but again, it's one point. Like, if Sheer Force Timber with a Life Orb comes at, like, with like Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Ice Punch, or something like that, I don't know. And then,
Yeah,
that's like, yeah, good job, you got me. But that's not going to take 2 games. So, Arctibax, I think, is probably going to come a time or two, but is probably going to be relatively low impact. Maybe something's particularly ice weak. You're certainly not bringing Snorunt as an offensive powerhouse. Maybe Arctibax comes for that reason. But yeah, for the most part, it's a 5-mon team plus a dealer's choice of 6 subpar options. And I mean, I am always down on super top heavy teams, and they've been good, so I guess I'm wrong, but also this seems like a not very good. That's true. They have only been good with Chien-Pao, but they've been good with Chien-Pao every time. So
I mean, I'll end this discussion about this team on a more positive note and just say that the power level of Urshifu, Fluttermane, Ninetales, and Sandy Shocks absolutely can and will take wins from teams. Like, even if you plan around it, like, Electric's a great coach, and obviously we're not judging the coach, right? We're judging the team. I have no doubt Electric's going to win some games with this team, but this is a powerful core. I mean, 2 of the strongest attackers in the whole format in Fluttermane and Urshifu. So, definitely a scary top heavy, maybe a questionable latter half, but as we've seen, if you can make those top half work, you're bringing them anyway. Hey, why not?
I want to make a quick transaction suggestion before we finish, which is Ninetales, in my opinion, is not doing that much more on this team than Vulpix would do. And that may sound like a crazy thing to say, but if you're bringing the Ninetales, you're already saying it's not about the Ninetales, it's about the Fluttermane and the Sandy Shocks. If you have Vulpix on this team, you still get the drought, and you free up a whole bunch of points to get another Pokemon that can do more things than Ninetales. Most of the time, I would say that's a crazy thing, but Fluttermane Sandy Shocks is maybe the best like two Pokemon you can get to make that worth your time.
How many points is Vulpix worth?
I think it's maybe 3.
4. I think it's 4.
4.
4.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be like in the mix in B tier for me.
Yeah, 4 points. Yep.
Yep.
That's where I'm
I mean,
gonna slap it.
that gives them 10 more points if they were to make that change to put somewhere else. Interesting thought. Let's put it on the list. I don't love it. Yeah, I think it's going to be at the bottom of my list right now, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of my list and be prepared to eat my words.
Yeah, I think they can pull it through with this team. Electric has had a lot of teams that the olds ranked pretty low and then had those identifiable flaws and still won games.
And then played
I
very
think this
well.
is the most uphill battle. Yeah.
All right, who's next? The Golden Goats.
Is that how it's
This is
pronounced?
weird.
The Golden Goats.
This is weird.
Hey, I think
I feel like I want to
think
spend a lot of time talking about Venonat.
I think we looked at this team before, haven't we? Is this like a fever dream or something?
Yeah, it seems familiar.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. I guess it's kind of similar to like Graf's team.
Yeah.
So-
In a way.
I did a so there's this other team, the other conference.
I don't think there's another like Wheezing team, right? No one drafted the like
Let's
the
just
Cantonian
go
version.
to. I
There's
just
just something
want
about this.
to check.
You're on the
This-
wrong page.
This
There you
feels.
go. Yeah.
This feels identical.
This is the same team. No, that's my team. I thought we were talking about other teams.
It's weird. You're in both conferences.
Must be a
I
dock
think
glitch.
something happened and
Yeah, it must be
like,
something wrong with the dock. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll fix that later.
All right. So we're all playing that game, and we expect that the whole server will play that game for the whole season, and we will say no more about it.
I truly have no idea what you're talking about. Let's talk about Ampharos.
Because it didn't
love it.
get enough
I love it.
respect the last time.
I think Ampharos is great. Okay.
Why don't you just read your comments on Tsukaba's video from a couple of days ago?
Wait. Okay, listen up. 90 HP, 85 defense, 90 SPDEF. That's very solid bulk. 115 special attack and 55 speed. This team has 2 Tailwind setters.
2 very good tailwind setters.
Cotton Spore and Electro Web from Ampharos, Icy Wind from Melodic, and does Venonat get String Shot? I don't think so.
I think it does.
Does it? Oh, am I cooking with gas here? I did draft this Pokemon.
Nope.
No, it doesn't. Okay, cool.
I think it used to. It did when I had it in National Dex
VBL-S.
Little Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ampharos has lots of speed options here, multiple Trick Room setters, multiple fast speed control options, and 115 special attack with Thunderbolt, Power Gem, and Dazzling Gleam. And Ice Punch for ground types is so real. For 5 points, Ampharos is amazing. Lurantis also very good. Similar to Ampharos, hits the best type in the game, water types, for super effective damage. With crazy contrary moves, Leaf Storm and Superpower is so good. I think the rest of this team kind of sucks. No, I can do just a very quick analysis. I think some of this feels like kind of deja vu, as if it's been mentioned before on a Tsukaba channel for some reason. So just briefly, Roaring
so
Moon is
weird.
Notably weak to Fairy types. Fairy types are covered by Weezing and Scizor. Weezing and Slacking and Roaring Moon and Scizor are all very physical, so we have Melodic as a special attacker and also a deterrent to intimidate, potential Misty Surge to turn off Will-O-Wisp. Roaring Moon and Slacking are both weak to fighting types, which are covered by Weezing and Delphox. let's see, and then slacking using its like normal stab, generally resisted by like steel types and ghost types. Ghost types covered by Roaring Moon, steel types covered by Delphox. Scizor weak to fire, and then fire is covered by Melodic. I think this team is just designed around these top six having a lot of good like defensive synergy, covering each other's holes. When I was putting this team together by myself with no help, um, I was thinking about Steve's. Sorry.
It's a good bit.
It's a bit. It's a bit. Is it a bit? Who knows?
Oh, it's a bit.
It's getting old.
Must have taken a bit to think
it's
about
not-
all the decisions you had to make.
If I'm being honest, I'm liking it more the more it happens.
Awesome. Okay, cool. That's not a bit.
It was getting old during the draft in the mod chat that doesn't exist, but now I'm into it.
Fire. Sounds good. I have no idea what you're talking about. When watching Steve's like final end of the season draft review and like just thinking about it, the way he went like this pick and then this pick and then this pick and then this pick, and how they all support the rest of the team, saying, "Boom, here's what I have so far. Here's the holes. Here's how I fix it immediately." And like, what you do there is you basically every new Pokemon you draft introduces more holes and isn't going to fix every hole, but if you always patch the biggest hole with your newest Pokemon, then you're getting smaller and smaller and smaller holes until your opponents are forced to exploit kind of minuscule holes that you can generally deal with Terra anyways. So, you know, I'm very happy with how this team came out, and I think having just like I made a like ladder team that has a Weezing on it. Wolf Glick just won a big tournament with Weezing. I think this Pokemon rewards creativity in using it well, but also just whenever it sits on the field, turning off other people's abilities really makes a difference in a draft league context where the Pokemon are lower power and oftentimes kind of justify their place on a team because of their ability.
Yeah.
I like the team. We ragged on it a little bit. We spent too much time talking about Venonat on this other team that was very similar. It's weird. I feel like I've said this before, but overall, it's a good team. It's solid. The holes are relatively minor, and I think I think it'll be a fun team. It's exclusively Pokemon I like, which bumps it up in my book. Like there's no Pokemon that I think are dumb or uninteresting or shouldn't be drafted under any circumstances, no matter what. Like Wigglytuff, don't pick that Pokemon. I cannot stress enough how much you should not take Wigglytuff. And overall, yeah, I mean it's good. It's good stuff. Like it is a good stuff team, and also it's good stuff. Like it's good. It's a good team. I like it.
I like it. I like it so much. I wish I could see it play 2 matches a week every.
2 matches a week.
So,
that'd be great.
For me, this is gonna go in A tier.
I'm putting it in A tier.
A similar team.
Yeah.
Boom! You're facing it week 1. Tear it apart.
Oh, I can't. There's nothing to tear apart. It's already causing me so much stress.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That wheezing alone. I mean, I didn't until I watched your own draft review. I didn't realize wheezing didn't turn off photosynthesis, which is just insane to me. I don't understand why that is a thing, but I mean, I had the first season we did for Gen 8, Gen 9, I had Slaking and Grafaiai, and those two together felt great. I can't imagine what actually not having to click a move to set it up will actually do for you. So I mean, I'm excited to see how this team does. I like James said, I like all the mons on this team. I think Ampharos is an underrated mon, and I want to see it do well. So I'm hoping. And of course, you got Bronzor. I love Bronzor after a few seasons, but yeah, I think it'll do great, and it's definitely easily an A tier team for me right now.
I would say I think maybe you're a little too high on Delphox as a Pokemon. I had it last season. I thought it was fine, but I don't think it was a Pokemon that was coming in and plugging tons of holes or like being a premier Trick Room setter. That like I would rather set Trick Room with Bronzor than Delphox every day of the week.
Oh, fully agree. Yeah,
100% of the time. I also think you're too high on Magician.
No, never coming.
It takes too much work. Like it It's basically not worth it. Even when things like white herb overheat works the way you want it to, where you get the big overheat, then you get your stats set, and then you get to steal her item. Like, just run Blaze, because Magician's not worth it. I think Delphox is fine, but temper your expectations on it. I think based on the video that I watched of the good guys, I think you're too high on Delphox, and keep that in mind a little bit. You're too high on it.
Fair enough.
But having said all that, it is an A-tier team. And we're going to move on to the Cincy Minchies, the Cincinnati Minchinos. And when you're writing Minchies, it's spelled like this. It's on the logo, Minchies. But if you're spelling the whole thing, it's 2 C's. Everybody spells it wrong. Just learn which letters go which. Okay, so I started my draft with Monkey Dory, and I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, I do know what I was thinking, because it was me, right? I did it. It was like, oh, that's a new Pokemon. It's got Frisk, it's got Fake Out, 130 special attack, a fun new toxic-based ability. This all sounds fun. And then as my draft was going, I was like, I don't care about this Pokemon. It's not very interesting, actually. I don't think it's going to be that great. So around here or so, I was like, I'm trading it for Tinkaton, and I hope nobody takes Tinkaton. And so some swaps happened. The Ambipom became Rotom Fan. So I took the Persian because I knew I was getting rid of the Ambipom. But overall, I'm mostly happy with this team. I can pretty comfortably just delete the Bramblin. I don't think that's ever coming. I also don't think Igglybuff is ever coming, but it does get Friend Guard, which is better than anything Wigglytuff can do. So Igglybuff, better than Wigglytuff, and it costs less. Don't take Wigglytuff. I've got 2 pretty solid Fake Out Mons. I've got a pretty good Disquake mode, a very, very good Trick Room setter, and some Mons that are slow enough to take advantage of Trick Room in a lot of situations. Tinkaton, 95, maybe it's not taking advantage of Trick Room that often, but it is, with no speed investment, it's probably the slowest thing a lot of the time anyway, and it often wants to be bulky. I may have fallen into my own trap of I love bulky Pokemon that can take a lot of hits, but we are all imperfect creatures. What's some other fun stuff I got going on in this team? Typhlosion is fun. I like it. Moltres Galar and Paldean Water Tauros are both Pokemon I've never used and have wanted to use for a lot of seasons. This is basically exclusively Pokemon I haven't used but want to use, with the exception of Persian, which I have used before, and Igglybuff, which was 1 point, and I picked so that I could meme about it being better than Wigglytuff. I've got 2 very reasonable partners for a Galvanize Explosion, so everybody has to worry about that every week. This is, I believe, currently the strongest explosion in the game. And
it's the strongest Pokemon in the game, period, with that move.
120, Galvanize.
Nothing gets even close to how strong that move is.
It's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. 120.
And you can Terra Electric it to make it even stronger.
Yeah. I could give it a Magnet. I could give it a Choice Band if I don't care about using Protect. I'm very excited about Alolan, which is the correct way to say its name.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think Gigaton Hammer is a little overrated in terms of, because it's still coming off of base 75. High base stat total, or high base power moves are broken anyway, so it's still good. Nothing on my team gets Moonblast, which is kind of a bummer. Well, maybe Igglybuff does, but who cares? High base power can only do so much. What does everybody else think of it?
Tinkaton, yeah. Gigaton Hammer, overrated. Encore, underrated. I think Tinkaton's a great Pokemon. I think this team is another one of these teams that, in a response to how top heavy things were last season, decided to like go for extreme wide. That's it. It's a 9 Pokemon team instead of an 11 Pokemon
Yeah,
team.
that in my own notes for this, I didn't say it, but I wrote 2 Bagmons is the new wide draft.
Pretty much. But still, like, there is no like top tier, really obvious like.
Yeah, there's no Fluttermane on this team, or
there's no
Urshifu
Fluttermane.
Water, or Roaring Moon.
Or even like
Yeah.
a Golden Go or an Annihilate or a Palafin.
Yeah.
And what that means is that, you know, you're really going to want to benefit from synergy on this team. And how is the synergy is the big question. And I think the synergy on this team is pretty good. Fake Out, Trick Room, obviously good. You have 2 great Fake Out users. And then, like you mentioned, the like spread moves that hit yourself plus Oranguru stuff, really scary. I will say, I think Typhlosion is really best when it has Tailwind going up for it, and your fast mode speed control is pretty lacking. Moltres gets Tailwind, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, it's right there on the dock.
Yep.
So base 90 speed Tailwind is good, but that's always going to be after you've already been hit by a Rock Slide, by something faster, which is not going to make your Eruption very strong. You can do the Scarf Typhlosion thing, which I expect is probably the item that's going to be on it all the time, but then of course you're weak to Fake Out. And if your
Also,
opponent has a
you're
turn move
then
or another,
most of the time going to be going faster than Persian, which is my other good speed control in a 115 Icy Wind.
right,
So,
and Fake Tears as well.
as well. Yep.
I think the issue with Typhlosion here is you're just never going to be in a matchup where it's going to be the fastest thing, and you have no way to make it the fastest thing. So I'm suspect of that being one of your major damage dealers. And then the rest of your Pokemon, I think, kind of need setup. With the exception of Golem, Torterra is going to smash, Moltres is going to nasty plot, Tauros doesn't usually set up, but also just fundamentally, with 110 attack, isn't that strong and probably needs a offense boosting item. I've used Tauros a lot before, and I've always found its offensive output to be a little bit weak, but the defensive stuff here is good, and I think this team actually is like mainly a Trick Room team. It's just a Trick Room team that doesn't go very slow, but Instruct is very, very respectable on this team, especially with
so
how many
good.
spread move users you have.
Yeah.
And the thing with spread move users is when you have this many with Fiery Wrath, Eruption, Explosion, and Earthquake.
Well, you
is
can't
you're gonna
instruct
make this a lot of
Eruption.
wide guard. Sorry?
You can't instruct Explosion. The Pokemon's
no.
dead. I know. I know.
That'd be something.
That would be something.
Rock Slide.
Sure.
Just get Revival Blessings. Simple. Then you could do it again later.
I think you're going to be facing a lot of wide guard issues here, but not every team has it, and not every team has a good.
Very few teams have wide guard. It is
That's
I think the most disrespected very good support move in VGC.
right. I think that's the only knock that's really that I have against the team is wide guard could kind of disrupt, but like you said, not many teams carry it. And are you really committing a full slot to stopping a spread move? Most likely in this case, but you have to have it first. I'll go back through here.
Yeah, only 3 teams of the 8 that we're reviewing, of the 7 that we're reviewing besides your team, have wide guard.
Have any wide guard?
Right.
Yeah,
There you go. See? Nobody's got it anyway. Who cares?
there you go.
Usually when you have it, it's not on like one of your best Pokemon.
Yeah, it's on your 4-point rock type.
Yeah.
Right.
It's on your Carkol or your
It's
Boldor.
the season of the spread moves.
I
And this
hope
team's got
so.
good ones.
All right, let's put it on the list. I do like it. I like
I
it
like it actually a lot.
more than
I like it up towards
more than
top
the
of
Snow
it.
team. Do I like it more than Daddy's team? What was Daddy's team again? Oh, I like Daddy's team, but Daddy's team is a team that I would draft. This is just another James team. I think they're very close. I think in the interest of conservatism, being conservative, I think I'll put it. I'll put Daddy's above mine, but I think it might actually look like this, and I'm too much of a coward. We'll see. Okay, that's fine. Last one of this first half. Ursa, ring that bell. Keith, a new player to our league, but not a new player to draft leagues. What do
Very
we
much
think of
not a
this
good
one?
player.
This is a cool team. I like what's going on here a lot. So, I mean, right off the bat, first thing to address here is the elephant in the room. And I'm not talking just about Caparajah. 'Cause
Caparajah?
we've got the best trick room mode in the league. I'm talking both conferences. Absolutely. Like Blood
No question.
Moon, Iron Hands, Mimikyu, Caparajah, even throw the Hatchram in there, maybe the Swallet. Like that. This team, if it gets Trick Room up, it's going to be using those turns very, very effectively. And it's going to be very terrifying to, find yourself up in Trick Room against this team. I don't really see how you could, stop that once it's up. And what I like, though, is that when you draft a really good Trick Room mode, I think it's very helpful if you also have other ways to operate outside of Trick Room. Because if all you have is a hard Trick Room team, you're gonna run into Imprisoned Trick Room all the time. You're gonna have double taunts, right? You're gonna get like so much stuff committed just to stop you from setting that up. It's like a one-trick pony. But this team has Jump Luff for fast Tailwind, redirection, which I really like as kind of like that combo mon here. It's got the Inteleon, which has a 120 base speed tier, which is very high for this format. Can be fast Icy Wind. The Bombardier can set a more bulky, slower Tailwind and also just deal good damage. We've seen Bombardier be put in a lot of work. This is like a really good value pick for 5 points. Should probably get raised 1 or 2, honestly. We've seen Reboot be effective in a fast way, right? So like this is not just a team that is relying on Trick Room to win games. That being said, the Trick Room option, I just want to say again, is insane. Like, Mimikyu's an amazing setter, obviously, because it's hard to kill, because you can't just double it because of that disguise, If you put it next to a fake out Iron Hands, you're pretty much getting Trick Room off every time. You can run that mental herb. Put it next to the Jump Luff for redirection, right? And then once Trick Room's up, you're taking advantage of those turns. Blood Moon Ursaluna is so good. I think it's absolutely better than base Ursaluna. Mind's Eye, this thing did not need the ability to hit ghost types. It really didn't need that, but they gave it to him anyway for some reason. I don't know why, but it makes it really hard to prep because how do you prep around living a Blood Moon? You can't Terra Ghost, you can't Terra Steel or Rock because then you're going to get Earth powered. So it's brutal. This is going to be a devastating team that does a lot of damage if it's operated well. What do the rest of you guys think?
Scary stuff. I'm mostly too afraid to draft such a hard Trick Room team myself. I've just, playing on the ladder doesn't really interest me that much, and so I don't have tons of reps in a Trick Room world. And so drafting a Trick Room team would be such a huge investment of my Pokemon playing time. I mean, it's, a season goes for 2.5, 3 months at least. And if I'm playing a team I'm bad at the whole time, that's crazy. So I'm too afraid to do it, but I really enjoy watching other people play Trick Room teams. So I'm very excited to watch all of Keith's matches and, I don't know, maybe get some pointers or at least watch some blowouts, if nothing else. I also think this team's very good. It's super scary. Jump Luff, Inteleon, Raboot, and maybe Bombardier as a mix-up to the slow mode of bulky Trick Room monsters is a nice way to spend points reasonably. You're not spending too many... Jump Luff you want to have... Tailwind is a lot of why you want to have it, but, it's got Raise Powder as well. It's got, a decent attack stat? No, it has terrible attack stats. Never mind. But Inteleon, 125, 120 speed. It's Icy Winding. It's I almost said Air Streaming, but that was the last gen. It's not doing that anymore. But it's still good. 125 is a big number, and it gets high base power attacks as well. So it's going to get to do stuff basically all the time. Reboot is a fine 2-point mon that I think is going to come, 2 weeks out of 5, something like that maybe, and is going to be respectable. I like this team. I think it's cool. I'm excited to watch the games with this team, and hopefully not have to play it.
I think when you do this hard trick room thing, there's a difference between speed as a mix-up and speed as a like full other mode. And I think speed for this team, the Inteleon jump left stuff is, in my opinion, not scary enough for me to respect it as a full mode. Now, I might end up eating my words there, but I just think jump left, Inteleon, and Bombardier, and sure Raboot, and also Mimikyu, who's pretty fast, are all good Pokemon,
True.
but I'm not so scared of them offensively that I'm going to be devoting a lot of time to like, oh god, if I spend
Right.
too much time prepping for Trick Room, I'm gonna get blown up by Snipe Shot. I think
Well, when you
this
say
team-
it like that, me and Sakaba sound like idiots.
No, no, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry. I think the issue with this team that I have, which is a minor issue, I do think this team is great, is one word, and that's imprison. If imprison goes up, it doesn't require devoting that much resources on the opponent's side, and if that Pokemon is a ghost type or holding a covert cloak, you can't fake it out, and then the trick room isn't going up, and then Keith's team is going to be on the back foot. Luckily, Iron Hands is so good, it doesn't care if it's in Trick Room or not, because it's
Right.
Iron freaking Hands. I think this team is going to be best when Keith is like, hey, you imprison me, I don't care, I'm just going to kill you anyways.
Or I'm gonna
And
swords
then-
dance.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he might have a late game Trick Room that like fully seals the deal when you weren't expecting it. I think a back Mimikyu with like a lead of Iron Hands jump bluff is going to be crazy. And I think the more flexible Keith is willing to play with this team, the better it's going to be. And knowing Keith, I think he's going to be able to make that work.
Yeah,
I definitely think Trick Room wise. I mean, if it looks like he's going to send something out with Imprison or even Roar, I mean, he's got all this time. He can double up into that Mon and try to take it out before. He's got enough strength on that team that I think he can knock something out that's going to threaten Trick Room mode and just put up Trick Room turn 2. I don't think there's too many issues on that. And I think this team's definitely one of the scarier ones in this division for sure.
Yeah, it's worth noting too that Jump Bluff is fast screens, which Iron Hands would definitely appreciate. So I
That's
could
true.
definitely see that being a like
Sure.
you were talking about like you view them more as mix-ups than other modes, but sometimes maybe the mix-ups are enough when you are revolving your strategy around Trick Room. You don't need like an immensely fast like Flutter Mane or something else to mix up like and have a whole other speed mode. You could just have good mix-up that already work with the Trick Room Pokemon, like maybe a Screens Iron Hands mode, or you throw in a Soulfest on it, and then you've got the Inteleon. You know, who knows? So, but you're right. Keith's gonna do some fun stuff. This is a really cool team, and I think it's one of the better ones we've looked at.
Yeah.
One other thing I do want to point out, I know we mostly don't talk about type charts unless it's egregious or there's some particular point that somebody wants to make, and I would like to make the particular point of there are only 2 4X weaknesses on the whole team, which is impressive, and they are on a Mon that basically can't take 2 hits anyway, and a 1-point Pokemon that is almost entirely irrelevant, which is difficult to do in a draft with 15 other coaches, and will generally result in something reasonable almost no matter what. So it's a good draft. It's well done.
Yeah.
I think it's my favorite team that I've looked at in both conferences, if I'm being honest.
Whoa.
I like it a lot.
High praise.
High praise. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I got it up there. Annette.
I,
Hey.
it's the only team I've put in S
Oh.
out of
Wow.
24 coaches we've looked at. So
All right.
Is this a tier list supposed to be reflective of your personal taste, James, or of,
This is
of
me.
the call?
this
Okay,
is me.
cool.
I always only build my own tier list. You all are adults with your whole human beings in your own right, and you can make your own tier lists.
I think the team is great. I think the flaws are significant enough to make it not that high, but I am very proud of Papa Keith for getting this far.
Papa Keith, is he an old? Should he maybe be in the season 12 olds world? Perhaps.
He is an old. There's a lot of coaches I think who are olds. Coaches, if you're an old and you want to be in the olds, reach out. LS is married.
Well, teenagers get married in the U.S. I realize LS lives in Australia,
In
but
Australia?
that's my point is more that ain't nothing.
True.
All right. Well, with that, this is a crazy tier list that I've created. So this is the first half of a tier list that will be adjusted to a more normal distribution at the end of these other 8 teams. But for now, I think... does anybody have any final thoughts on these first 8? Well done, coaches. Terrible job, coaches. Anything like that?
I don't see a single team that has anything for neutralizing gas, which is so sad.
Weird.
I'm going to kick you out of this call.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. That's the end. We'll see you for the next one.